whole dearth of literature that people just refuse to acknowledge because they just want it to be easy, and it's not easy to try to rationalize these things. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at science, we mentioned Karl Popper, but if you kind of look at how science has progressed philosophically from Popper, I believe his name is Thomas Kuhn. Anyway, he wrote a book on something about scientific revolutions. And he talked about the difference between quote unquote normal science and revolutionary science. And normal science, he just called scientists that are puzzle solvers. You know what I'm saying? Like they just do experiments to say that they did experiments, and they follow the scientific method, and they just reproduce the same stuff all the time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which is a lot of what science is. And I'm not saying that that's bad per se, but that's a lot of what science is. And then he talks about revolutionary science, where, someone had the courage to say, man, I'm seeing something different here, or I'm looking at things differently, and really trying to understand why they might be different than just putting a puzzle together again, because that's not really what science is. And to progress science, you need these periods of revolutionary science where someone has the balls to say, shit, I'm looking at this differently, and my way of looking at it is producing results. And that's where we are in biology. It's, we just, from a manual perspective and from a chiropractic and a PT perspective, I guess, massage perspective, we just haven't jumped into that revolution yet.
All right. So I was thinking while you were explaining that, is that I think maybe people are talking past each other because of the lack of definition on the topic. And you were speaking to this earlier with regards to research. And I've said this before too, with regards to like low back research. If you take, 100 people and you have a particular input for low back pain that you're going to apply to check the relevance of that input or whatever, what type of treatment, you can't just divide the people in half and say, half of you go to that non-treatment group and half of you go to this treatment group, try it and see what happens. Because you're kind of telling me that everyone experiences low back pain in the exact same way, right? So
yeah,
you're not defining the groups, right? If somebody had low back pain because their SI joint was in pain, that's one thing. If somebody was stabbed in the fucking spine with a pencil, that's a different thing, and they can't be allotted to the same group, which is I think, well, from what I see in the literature, that's a lot of what's happened, is that the groups haven't been defined. And you were speaking to that earlier too. If you look at ACL reconstruction, rehabilitation paper, it's pretty much someone goes to the rehab group and then other people go to the non-rehab group. Once again, saying that rehab is somehow a generic thing. Like, I'm applying rehab to someone, right? I'm sprinkling rehab on someone's shoulder.
Yeah, right? That's right.
And then
it's like the magic fairy dust.
Yeah, you look at the results and then you go, oh, it's okay. Like when you look at spinal manipulative therapy, if you look at it from a whole, you read a bunch of papers, and what do you conclude? You conclude it's a good form of treatment to add to people with back pain, but it's not like you see amazing results. Like you ask a therapist, what do you think about the therapy you use? You go, oh my God, it works so well. Then you go into the literature and it's like, yeah, 55% of the time it works. And you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it's because you're not defining the target. And we said this before. If you think your treatments do anything, then you have to agree that the more specific the target you're applying the treatment to, the better it should work.